All right, good morning. The September 18, 2025 meeting of the Transaction and Use Tax Oversight Committee is now called to order. Madam Executive Assistant, could you call the roll, please?
Committee Member Jones?
Present.
Vice President Pinko?
Present.
Chair Oiwoli?
Present.
Let the record reflect that all committee members are present.
All right, thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Committee Member Pinko.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so we now move to the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No.
Okay. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Make a motion.
Okay.
And I'll make a second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. All right, so we now move to public comment. Any person may address the governing bodies on any subject pertaining to city business. Normally, no action may be considered or taken by the governing body on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Madam Executive Assistant, do we have any public comment request?
Seeing none.
All right. Okay, thank you. Consent agenda is next. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be enacted by one motion and vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless specific items are removed from the consent calendar for separate motions. Are there any other requests from the committee to pull any consent calendar items for discussion or abstain from voting?
No.
No.
Okay. Madam Executive Assistant, are there any members of the public requesting to speak on a consent calendar item?
Seeing none.
All right. Can I have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion.
And a second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously 3-0.
All right, thank you. Now move on to the administrative update by the Finance Director. Mr. Finance Director, any updates for the committee?
Yes, good morning, Chairperson Wally, Vice Chair Penko, and Committee Member Jones. Thank you again for your time this morning to receive a report from staff. We appreciate the time that you have taken to review the reports and primarily for your fiduciary duties that you have as the Oversight Committee. As far as administrative updates, since our last meeting back in March, we have been extremely busy with operation in our finance department for the city. As you may know, we have completed our budget development process, of which the operating budget, which includes the Measure T fund, was adopted in June of this year. Since then, we have also working on the preliminary audit, as well as currently right now working on finalizing our final audit, which staff have been working very diligently over the last 3-4 months to get prepared for the audit. We plan to turn over the balance sheets and general ledger to our auditors this week. And so it has been really crunch time for us during the last couple of weeks. And our goal is to finalize the audit in the next couple of weeks. Auditors will be on site, and our goal is to complete the financial statements by December. Our finance manager is here. She is leading the efforts with the audit, and has been a lot of teamwork with our staff, including Evan Crockett, our management analyst, and other staff members in our team. So, and along with the audit, we all have been working with several RFPs completions. That includes banking services, financial advisor services, and we're in the process of doing an RFP for investment services as well. So it's been a busy time during the last 6 months. Nevertheless, we appreciate your patience as we prepare the reports to you on a monthly basis. Today, you're going to receive the preliminary financial status of the Measure T as of June 2025. Please note, as I share with you, audit is not complete yet, so those numbers may change. I don't expect it to change significantly, but it may change depending on the audit outcome. And that's all I have in terms of administrative updates.
Okay, thank you so much. I know, I'm going through the same process in my day job. It's not an easy thing this time of the year for the accounting professionals, so thank you for your work. All right, any questions for, all right. Okay, so, I'm sorry, do you have a question?
I said no.
All right, so we go into the discussion item, Measure T Oversight Committee Report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Staff, may we have a staff report, please?
Yeah. Good morning again, Oversight Committee members. My name is Javier Carcamo, Director of Finance, and to my right is Evan Crockett, our Management Analyst, who you may know by email, who has been sending you the monthly reports since our last meeting. We have a lot of information for you, so please bear with us. If you have any questions, please let us know at the same time as well. So on our first item, it is our fiscal year 2024-2025 budget to actual report. So the adopted budget, revenue budget for fiscal year 2024-25, which was adopted in essence over 2 years ago, as part of our biannual budget adoption process, was $31.4 million. During that time, based on the city consultants, sales tax consultants' projections, considering that was back in 23, we had some good years during the COVID period as a result of both inflations, but also the influx of federal funds into the economy. Nevertheless, as we progress throughout the years, during the last 4 quarters, primarily we have amended our revenue budget down to $29 million on one point, and subsequently further amending the budget down to $27.9 million. As of June 2025, the year-to-date revenue totals approximately $28.3 million, and that represents approximately 99% of the, 102% of the amended budget. If we compare the $28.3 million in revenue compared to the adopted budget of $31.4 million, then we would have been under budget by 10%. So we would have collected approximately 90% of that budget. The revenues on a monthly basis is averaging approximately $22.3 million, with quarter ends typically December and June being the quarter end months with higher collections, primarily because one is because of the holidays and the other one primarily because of true-up that happens throughout the year. Nevertheless, the average is $2.3 million. When we compare the total sales tax revenue of $28.3 million in fiscal year 25 to the prior year, fiscal year 24, we received approximately $66,800 more, which in essence it's pretty flat in terms of revenues collections between the two fiscal year. So that said, and I believe I have a graph later in the presentation that shows per year's collections and our projection for the next 2 years. But we feel that our revenue trend is steady but stable currently, despite of some of the economic concerns that we have nationwide. The last 4 years has been pretty flat in terms of revenues, and it's averaging approximately $28 million. Some of the business groups that have the most significant revenue collections or sales tax collections for the city, it falls under the general consumer goods, and that is, what people buy on a daily basis at the store. That accounts for 28%. Auto sales, both new and used auto sales, accounts for approximately 22%. Online sales, which those are collected through the county pool and then subsequently allocated based on a percentage to all the county of Riverside cities, that accounts approximately 15%. The amended expenditure budget for fiscal year 24-25 is $22.9 million. The year-to-date, as a preparation of this report, we have a total of $25.1 million, or approximately 109% when compared to the amended budget. The percentage spent, excluding the CIP component, so excluding the $1.5 million of CIP expenses, equates to approximately 102.8% of the amended budget. The year-to-date personnel cost is approximately $14.1 million. That went over its budget by 11%. Primarily the deficit or the variance between the amended budget and actuals is driven by various components. Primarily one is the negotiated salary increases for city staff. Over time, primarily for our police and fire. Leave buyout, that's primarily when in accordance to the MOU, that allows staff to sell back some of their leave balances voluntarily, but at the same time, when an employee separates from the city as part of their benefit package, those leave are also pay out at that time.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you talking about a separation of employment and then you have maybe some benefits or some time off that they didn't take and they get a cash, or is it a severance that we're talking about?
Your first comment, so it is time that they have on the books, whether it's for vacation, we have one leave type which they can use for both vacation and sick. If there's any time left on the books for them, they at time of separations, that will be paid out to the employee as part of the benefit package. Increase in health insurance premiums, and that has been very unique to the city of Murrieta. It is likely a national type of issue, challenges that most cities and counties are facing in terms of premium increases. Pension costs are usually also driven with salary increases. Mm-hmm. Workers' compensation has been one of the expenses that have seen a significant increase over the years, primarily in our public safety. And lastly, our budget, our personnel cost was also amended through the year with to include a vacancy savings rate, primarily to account for separations where a position it's become vacant and then there's some salary savings. So we want to capture that by adjusting the budget accordingly.
Got it.
The operation and maintenance expenses amounted to approximately 73% of its budget, or $647,000. and our capital outlay had a balance of approximately $100,000. And that's approximately 13% below their amended budget. The total CIP-related expenses account for $1.5 million. As you notice, there's no budget in the operating budget, primarily because those expenses, those CIP are budgeted on the capital improvement plan. For the purpose of presenting the costs and expenses paid by Measure T, we're presenting those to you as well. However, the budget for all the capital improvement plan projects are approved and authorized by council in prior years.
Could I ask a question on that?
Yes.
The capital improvements, are they things like the expansion of the library?
Yes.
Or, okay, and then just a quick question, follow up, transfers out, is that mostly just other departments within the city we're transferring money out to pay those payrolls and things like that? Is that correct?
Yes, it's very specific. The transfers from Measure T is very specific to three different funds. Primarily is the fire district. The fire district fund currently and over the years is not self-sustained. And in order to maintain level of services and operations, a transfer is necessary from Measure T to maintain those services.
Got it.
The same primarily with the Community Services District. So this is what handles the parks maintenance and all the community events that happens throughout the year, as well as some of the programs that we have with the youth center and our senior center and our I'm getting a blank here on the other community, the community center as well. And so we do have a transfer to the Community Services District Fund. And very recently, the Library District Fund as well will be needing a subsidy or financial assistance from the Measure T as well.
Okay.
Currently, it's very minimum, but they're getting to the point where a transfer will be necessary.
Got it, thank you.
This is the same information slide I shared with you. The only difference is, as recommended by our chairperson, to present the capital improvement project cost separately from the operating, which is a great observation. So we're presenting this information this way moving forward.
Thank you.
So some of the accomplishment utilizing Measure T fund. During the March Oversight Committee meeting, we had both Chief Molloy and Chief Henry from our fire and police departments. They provided you with great information in terms of how Measure T has positively impacting their operations. Currently, as of fiscal year 24-25, with the Measure T fund, we are able to fund 67 positions since the beginning. Primarily, those are with the public safety departments, which relates to approximately 77% of the Measure T fund go towards public safety. That is one of the commitments we made from the beginning to our community, that Measure T will be fully utilized for the most part towards enhancing services in public safety. Some of the significant purchases made by our fire operations includes the replacement of their, you know what that stands for, the SCB. That's a breathing up.
Their tanks, their breathing tanks.
That's a breathing apparatus, breathing tank that they utilize on fires. They have a useful life, but they had to replace 72 of those equipments. The public safety infrastructure communication radio system. Recently, our fire department joined the county. I believe they are the first fire department that joins the radio system. The Measure T also pays for a significant number of emergency software subscriptions, equipment replacements, the PPE gear and safety equipment that they wear, fire station facilities maintenance and repairs. While some of our fire stations, especially like Fire Station 1, it looks fairly new from the outside. From the inside, they do need some significant tender and care, let's put it that way.
Sure.
And so we have funding some of those repairs for the various fire stations, replacing the fire station generator to ensure that in case of a blackout, they continue to have electricity and their equipment continue to operate for emergencies. In our police operations during this year, it funded some police vehicles that will change moving forward as a result of a fleet replacement fund program that we're setting up starting in fiscal year 26. But it also provided funding for public safety equipment for the new hires, the police tasers and body-worn cameras, equipment, their licenses. Usually a lot of these new equipment, they require subscriptions, and that's kind of the way business are nowadays.
Yes.
Police license plate reader software and the equipment itself. We have 40 of those license plate readers, cameras throughout the city. And also you get a little brief more information during the last meeting about their drone program, of which they're going to expand it during fiscal year 26. Other funding sources, other operations Measure T is funding is on our economic development with market research and event marketing, with the efforts to continue to advertise our city in various events and bring more businesses, graffiti and weed abatement, vehicle lease program, which we do through Enterprise. Currently, we only have a handful of vehicles. Well, we're probably over 10 vehicles, Jennifer? Yeah. Which we're no longer going through the program, but it was necessary 5-6 years ago due to the cash. It was a cash flow. Needless to say, we're not leasing those vehicles anymore, but we're going to meet our obligations for those vehicles that we leased in prior years. And lastly, Measure T has been significant, had a significant contribution to the city's reserve balances to ensure that we can maintain the level of services in case there is a change in our economic condition. We have a significant number of projects completed through the capital improvement plan. Some of those significant are the police locker room remodel. That is to allow for more locker rooms. Our police workforce continue to increase on an annual basis. That facility is over 20 years old. It was not built to have over 100 officers, and currently we probably have somewhere around 115, 118 officers, sworn officers. That doesn't include the administrative staff. Police building exterior paint, office expansion, again, kind of the same objective due to additional staffing. The library roof replacement, as well as the HVAC system, the City Hall annex improvements. Our City Hall also went through the reconfigurations of cubicles. Nevertheless, that was not enough, and we are leasing a property across the street here. We call that the City Hall Annex, and we were able to utilize some of the funding to accommodate the some staff to staff in that area. Various tot lots improvements, and of course the Town Square Amphitheater parking lot and the monument sign, which you can see it has been completed, and we're currently enjoying that. Projects in the near future, we're looking at the children's area expansion, library building improvements, Fire Station 1 sewer and concrete replacement. Fire Station 1's it's the oldest fire station we have, and there's still not in the not connected to the sewer system. And as well as doing some building improvements within. We're setting aside funding for a new PD mobile command center, a city-wide pickleball court project, and this one a little bit funding, not a lot, is to do a repair for the Cow Oaks Sports Bar. Here's some photos of some of the projects either completed or in process or in coming up in the near future. The Town Square parking lot, the tot lot replacements, the children's area expansions project. This is the old mobile command center. In essence, if our dispatch is not able to provide services from their center, the mobile command center should be the alternate location. However, this mobile command center is quite old and has not been maintained with equipment. And city has awarded a grant to purchase a new one. And city, there is a match component, local match component that is required, and we're utilizing about $120,000 of Measure T for the new purchase. The locker room projects, we got the license plate readers and the drone program. Our fire engines and trucks are very expensive. They do last about 20 years. But it does cause a significant requirement of funding when they're purchased. And lastly, citywide seals and City Hall Annex project. And with that, completes the budget to actual reports to you for the fiscal year 25 financial activities. This is a receive and file for this report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those at this point.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the committee members?
No.
Okay. I did forward a couple of questions to you. I don't know whether you got a chance to, sorry about that. I didn't get a chance to look through the report earlier. So you talked a little bit about, I think you addressed a couple of them already. Talk about the sub, which is just, a technical change. There are suggestions on the subtitle, subtotal.
Yes.
To just kind of show the operating expenses from CIP.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Now, the 1.5 million reported expenditure for CIP for fiscal year 2025, I was wondering whether that's because, we don't have a budget for it, right, in 24-25. So I was just wondering how the mechanics of that work. Do you just take that from
Reserves?
Yeah, reserves or allocation on assigned fund balance?
Yes. So any commitment that happens through the year, either as part of the capital improvement plan project, budget development process, and we do those on an annual basis, or throughout the year, if there's a new project coming through, when council adopts and approves, it sets a commitment out of unassigned fund balance. Okay. And so it moves that fund balance from unassigned into commitment, okay, primarily for capital improvement plan projects.
All right. Okay, so then staying on this page, I think my next question was, okay, so if I'm looking at this now, so what's the contribution to fund balance for this year? And that's one of the reasons why I was thinking that should probably be separated. I'm not quite sure whether it's, at 3.2, which is the difference between your revenue and 25.1, or 4.8, which is the difference between your 28.3 and 23.5, which is really operating.
Yes. So the change in fund, or the contribution to fund balance will be the difference between revenues and operating expenses. So that will be the 4.8. There might be other components through the year that may impact unassigned fund balance. But to respond to your question specifically, it will be the difference between the revenues and operating expenses.
All right. Okay, thank you. That's what I would think it would be, but which is why when I was looking at the 1.57, kind of throws off the number if I'm comparing. So that makes sense. Thank you. Also, I think I had another one. I don't know whether you got a chance to take a look at that. When I look at the CIP projects citywide, I don't see that 1 million commitment that we have for the expansion already here roll over into that report. So I don't know whether you got a chance to take a look at it.
Yes.
Okay, was that a commitment that was made out of Measure T fund, and or is it no longer a commitment? It's on this report, but it's not on the citywide.
Yeah, so the report you're looking in the citywide or the capital improvement plan report, that was adopted back in June of 25. Okay. The $1,075,000 commitment was approved by City Council on August 19. So that was subsequent to the preparation of the report, and that's the reason why it's not on the citywide report. However, during the City Council presentation August 19, there were several items that were approved by Council. One of them is the approval of an interfund loan between Measure T and the Library Development Impact Fee Fund. And then the other recommendation and approval by Council was the allocation or commitment of $1,075,000 from Measure T in order to fully fund the expansion project.
Okay, so future report would reflect that, I guess. I just want to, I guess my question is really relating to making sure that whatever Measure T's funding rolls over correctly into the citywide.
Yes, so the capital improvement plan that will be developing starting likely in January of next year to be adopted in June of 26 would include the $1,075,000 commitment.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So I think I had a question on the interfund loan as well. You can talk about that next item because I think it's in the budget, right? And then item 2.
Yes.
But with that, thank you for the detailed report, and especially highlighting some of the accomplishment of Measure T that's related to public safety. You know, we've been talking about that since we came on board. That's kind of our understanding that that's the primary reason. So 77% is pretty good. So, and actually seeing some of those impact is very helpful. And of course, the presentation we had last meeting. So appreciate the highlights there. All right. If there are no other questions or comments, Madam Executive Assistant, are there any public comments regarding this item?
Seeing none.
Okay. We had our comments. Thank you. No action is needed, and this is a receive and file item. So we move on to item 2. Adopted Measure T operating budget for fiscal years 25-26 and 26-27. Staff, may we have a staff report, please?
Yeah, good morning again. Chairperson Wally, Vice President Penko, and Committee Member Jones, thank you again for your time this morning. Our report for the item number 2 is to provide you details of the 25-26 adopted budget for Measure T. So this is the budget that starts on July 1st of 25 and goes all the way through June 30 of 26. A little bit of background, primarily for our residents who may be watching us online, or they may refer back to the meeting, is the Measure T funding is derived from a voted measure that was approved by our residents, gracefully approved, that allows for a 1 cent district sales tax. This really revenue source allows the city to maintain the long-term funding for general services, but primarily focusing on public safety in regards to improving response time to emergencies, improve our protection paramedic services, increase the number of police sworn officers, to strengthen crime prevention and gang activities, address graffiti removal, which we have budget for that purpose as well as provide funding for parks, recreation, and street maintenance. The establishment of the district transaction district tax also requires, as part of our municipal code, it requires an oversight committee which required to meet semi-annually and receive a monthly reports from our staff on both revenues and expenditures and provide guidance to staff in regards or questions to staff in regards to the financial activities. And this fulfills the requirement for both staff as well as the oversight committee. This graph represents the historical sales tax revenues for Measure T, but it also projects the next 2 years. As you can see, since fiscal year 22, we have received approximately $28 million. Over the years, we have received slightly less in 23 and 24. 25 was a little bit higher than 24 by approximately 66,000. This really represents a revenue source that has been flat over the last 4 years. As part of our projections for the fiscal year 26 and 27, we're hopeful and projecting an increase of 3% year over year, primarily with the intent to account for increase in population as well as increase in new businesses. Of course, we will monitor those as we go through the fiscal year 25-26 and amend the budget accordingly. So we have a $28.6 million in revenues. Our expenditures budgeted is 27.2. The allocation of the Measure T funds to the various programs and departments includes approximately $7.7 million to our police department. That accounts for approximately 29% of the budget. The fire district or fire services, including the transfers that they get to the fire district fund, accounts for 48% of the budget or $13.1 million. Our CSD program for parks maintenance accounts for $3.1 million, 11%. Public Works and Engineering or Municipal Services Department now, I believe, have a budget of approximately $1 million. Our library accounts for approximately $200,000 or 1%, and the remaining funding includes approximately $1.3 million for administration, accounts for 5%, and our Community Development Services Department, which is approximately $600,000 or 2% of the budget. When we look at the budget, primarily on the expenditure side, based on expense category, our adopted budget of the 27.2 includes approximately 52% of it towards personnel costs. That's 13.8. About $2.1 million or $2.2 million in operations and maintenance. Primarily, this is to address some of the programs that are funded for police and fires and for softwares and small equipment. Our capital outlay accounts for equipments, significant equipments for primarily for police and fire. Internal service charges, this is primarily to recover costs associated with providing workers' compensation insurance and general liability insurance, as well as, workers' compensation insurance, and also our IT services, information services to the various departments. That accounts for approximately 1.7 million. And then the transfer out again to the fire district, CSD district, and library district accounts for $8.9 million. So our contribution to fund balance based on our budget is $1.4 million for fiscal year 26 and approximately $681,000 for fiscal year 27. So when we compare the various expenditure allocations in comparison to the entire budget, personnel costs accounts for approximately 52% average on both years. So transfers out significant, approximately 33%. And if my math is correct, the remaining somewhere around 16% is allocated towards operations, capital outlays, and internal service charges. So some of the significant budget requests and budget items requested through the next 2 years. Personnel, we have 67 authorized positions. This is the same that we had back in fiscal year 2025. So that will remain the same. In fiscal year 27, we are adding 3 additional firefighters. And so fire personnel will go from 15 to 18, police will remain at 31, and non-safety will remain at 21. The 3 firefighter positions is primarily related to have the appropriate number of personnel when the city received the Tiller truck. And that's a new equipment, a new truck we're expected to receive before fiscal year 27. If you're familiar with the Tiller truck, this is the truck that has a person in the back driving it. It's a truck that allows to have very sharp turns and be able to access all roads within our city. And so because of the required number of personnel to have per engine, which is currently it's 3, this specific truck requires 4 personnel. And so we have 3 shifts, and we need to have a personnel to be able to drive that truck in the back. So that will account for the 3 additional positions in fiscal year 27.
It's pretty neat.
The allocation between safety and non-safety continues to be aligned with prior years. It's approximately 77% towards public safety. These are some of the significant allocation this year for the fire district. I'll mention some. So we have a number of several emergency-related softwares and subscriptions that allows our fire department to provide their services. We also have funding towards the CAT system. This is the system integrated with our police to take emergency calls. Their mobile data terminals, these are the terminals they have at their fire engines. They have to go through a equipment testing for ladders and hose. They're required, and then subsequently they may have to be replaced as well, depending on the test. Ultimately, we want to make sure that our hoses are working properly at the time that we actually need them. PPEs, extractor, this is in case of there is a crash accident and they have to extract someone out of a vehicle. Fire service agreement with CAL FIRES, that's very essential, especially in our area, where if the city needs assistance from CAL FIRE, we have an agreement already in place, and that limits really our costs. If we're not prepared, we don't have that service agreement ready. For police operations, public safety equipment for new hires, Narcan, which is a treatment for opioid overdose emergencies. This is for both anyone from the public that may need it, as well for in case our police officer gets exposed as well, so they have those in each vehicle. Police taser and body-worn cameras, equipment and license, these are an annual cost. Again, it's all based on subscription. Police license plate readers. And as I shared with you, our police aircraft and accessories, this is our drone program, which they're expanding this year. They will probably be seeking allocation from Measure T, but this will be a huge game changer for our police department because they will be able to dispatch a drone from our police station in very specific location. That drone will probably get there much faster than a police officer, and so they will be able to have eyes on the sky way before our police gets there or fire gets there, so they have a better understanding of what the situation is and be able to capture someone on time. So they're expanding that program. Other operations funded by Measure T, it includes our citywide press relations, newsletters or magazines, and a community survey. Continue to support economic development efforts to bring new businesses, professional growth development for our staff, the enterprise lease vehicles, again, that will subsequently will go away once that lease agreement is completed. Weed abatement and water efficient landscaping throughout the city, operating transfer for fire, CSD, and library, and ultimately continue to support the city's operating and sustainability reserves. Speaking of operating sustainability reserve, here's the balances that we have as of fiscal year 24-25, which is the beginning of fiscal year 25-26. We have approximately $35.4 million. As part of the budget adoption, we asked council to maintain a 30% operating at the different funding that we have for both for the Measure T itself, but also for fire and CSD and library. That contribution is approximately $1,070,000 coming from unassigned fund balance into a reserve. And that's the increase in fiscal year 25-26. Because our budget increases on the second year as well, and our reserve is based on a percentage of our budget. So that requirement of reserve increases as well, and that's the contribution fiscal year 26-27. That contribution is approximately $841,000. During fiscal year 25-26, we are planning to use some of the reserves. We have the $1.2 million coming from the fleet replacement into, it's a transfer from reserve into the fleet replacement fund. The $1.2 million is primarily for the purchase of a new fire engine, which we expect to receive in fiscal year 27. But we're making that transfer now during fiscal year 26 to be prepared. Also the $3.8 million you see as uses for the fleet replacement fire, that 3.8. I'm sorry, the 1.2 is actually a contribution from the from the Measure T reserve into the fleet replacement for future purchases of vehicles. The $3.8 million is for the fire engine and also the tiller truck. So the two apparatus is $3.8 million. The $1.2 million, we're expecting that the cost of the fire apparatuses is 3.8, but there is a change order or increase in cost, and then we'll have a little bit more funding that is available to pay for that. Under the uses for fiscal year 25-26, we have the $3.5 million coming out of the facilities repair. Currently, we have $5.6 million. This 3.5 is primarily the interfund loan between Measure T and the Library Development Impact Fee Fund. the analysis that we brought forward to council back in June of '24 and subsequently was approved by council recently in August 19 was based on a cost analysis and a opportunity cost analysis between doing an interfund loan and also a normal bonding type of funding issuance. When we look at the cost of interest expense, if we would have done a normal bond, especially currently with the current interest rate, it far exceeds the loss in our revenue income or revenue investment income. And so there is a benefit to the city to do the interfund loan as opposed to a normal bonding for the $3.5 million. Yes.
A couple quick questions. So the bond, does that normally go on to our tax bill? So the bonds normally roll over into a tax bill and it's paid by taxpayers?
Not very specifically on this one. So the bond that we would have done on this one would have been like a lease revenue type of bonding. It's not a general obligation bond, which those are paid by our residents through property tax. This would have been a different type of bonding, which would have been collateralized by other funding sources like sales tax.
So instead, you created a loan from your reserves or from your balances so you can fund the project. I also was at an event and they were asking for donations for the project. Are we slightly under budgeted for it, or do we not have enough funds to complete the project?
So we do have committed, or council has committed, enough funding sources to fully fund the project. We do have an assumption of fundraising and donations we are accounting for, and we're still trying to meet that target.
Got it.
And so funding donations efforts continues through the process. Otherwise, if what we target for in terms of fundraising or donations becomes short, then the city would have to commit additional funding sources. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
The loan, just to give you quick terms on that, it's for a 30-year loan for 1%. This will be paid out of the Library Development Impact Fee Fund, which is the obligation of that fund, right? That's primarily, and that's one of the reasons that we're doing the loan. It's not to remove that obligation. Development Impact Fee is the primary source for future developments as a result of housing developments and growth in population.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
So with that said, the projected ending balance in our reserves for fiscal year 25-26 is $28 million. For fiscal year 26-27, it's 28.8. Want to touch a little bit about fund balance, and that is the resources that are available at each year end. Based on the numbers that we have today, we can project fund balance, but Jennifer will probably be working on fund balance classification, our finance manager, in the next 2-3 weeks as she works with our auditors to start working on the financial statements. So these still preliminary numbers until we determine fund balance based on the very specific government accounting standards. Mm-hmm. But we have a projection of approximately $20.1 million in unassigned or available fund balance. In total, we have $63.7 million in fund balance, but what's available for future use or commitment is approximately $20.1 million. The committed fund balance represents 68%, so that includes commitments towards reserves and towards capital improvement plan projects. There's a little bit specifically for non-spendable. This is primarily, it's tied to assets that are not in a spendable format, like inventory, and prepaids and things like that. And that concludes the presentation for the fiscal year 2025-26. This is a receive and file report. If you have any questions in regards to our fiscal year 25-26, we're happy to answer those at this point.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think you addressed my question on the interfund loan. So it will be paid back from development impact fees. That's what I heard, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So for now, CSD doesn't need that money, right? The 3.5 that was allocated to, that was reserved for that.
Correct. And primarily was reserved for facilities repairs.
Okay.
And so we believe that it is an appropriate reserve to use for the loan.
Okay. Now, on the fleet replacement fund, I think my comment was, it's a very good idea to move that. But once we move those reserves into that new fund, then it's not really visible in Measure T report anymore, whatever it's done. So I was just wondering how we're going to make sure we're capturing whatever that particular money was being spent on.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question on that. So with the fire engines and the tiller truck, we're definitely going to report those back to you when we pay those out of the fleet replacement fund. The fleet replacement fund follows kind of the same or general ledger organization keys or organization codes. So we will be able to identify when a vehicle is purchased for a very, very specific department. So we'll be able to identify, and primarily that funding, the additional funding of $1.2 million primarily will probably be related to public safety. But we will be able to report back to you on the purchase of the 2 engines or the 2 apparatus for fire. And we'll make sure that, and I believe our fire engines that are also purchased, I believe that on the actual truck, we do have a decal that said that is funded by Measure T as well.
Okay.
I believe that we're doing that. But so in different ways, we do ensure that we report it back to you that how we're spending that funding out of now in this case, out of the future fleet replacement fund.
Okay. So on an annual basis, does that mean the allocations to replacement would be effectively moved to that fund?
Yes.
But we'll be recording as expenditures in this fund anyway, right? So this $5 million you're capturing as an expense of Measure T, right? This coming year?
Yes, we're recording that as a transfer out.
Okay.
And so will be an expenditure, will be show as an expenditure in Measure T.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from committee?
I have a quick one. So on the onset of all this building that's going on, I assume there will be more people in those buildings that have been built, and obviously more spending, so we'll see more income revenue from Measure T. Personnel costs will probably need to go up higher, though, I would imagine. I see only just 3 people for the following year. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2 years from now, do you anticipate that going up significantly?
Yes. Considering some of the metrics that we primarily, our police and fire, would like to maintain in terms of time response, our police department likes to have a metric of 1 police officer per 1,000 residents.
Wow. Yeah.
And so as our population increases, and we don't have a new position for police, but I would expect that subsequently after these 2 years, they will be asking for additional police officers.
Okay.
And so that could be budgeted depending, again, of the financial resources and the economic condition at that point in time, could be funded by Measure T as the new positions for public safety.
Yeah, I see that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. The last slide that you had in your presentation, that's what I was asking for, so I appreciate that. Can we put that in the report to the committee at least once a year, the end of the fiscal year, like this report right here, for example, right? You have the estimates already. I know that these are not final because you still got to be audited, but it's good information to, it doesn't have to have the chart, but these two tables, projected fund balance and the classification.
Yes,
At the end of the annual report. That'll be helpful.
will do.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, when we talked about the budget last October, I believe, when we had the 31 million, we had that discussions, right? And we were talking about that's too high. So, I'm pleased, that's what I kind of thought we were going to come in at, about 28 or something, when we had that discussion. So that ends up being around where we came in. Yeah, as you indicated, we're kind of pretty much plateau, right? We have new businesses coming up, but, we kind of have these, the economy that's not quite taking off yet. So, so this is a very good projection from my perspective. That's kind of what we're flat with respect to 25, 26, and maybe a little uptick in 26, 27, we hope for. But 25, 26, we kind of know is going to be pretty much flat. So pleased to see that projection. Thank you very much for that. I don't have any other questions. I'd like to welcome Evan and Jennifer. Thank you for your work to support the committee and for coming to the city of Murrieta. It's good to see you guys and nice to meet you. And looking forward to working with you both, along with our finance director and our finance manager. All right, so that's, I think that's all of it. This is a receive and file item, so there's no action needed.
Committee announcements.
Any announcements
I have
from the
one.
committee members? All right. All right. I think with no further business, this meeting will be adjourned till next time.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.